Right, welcome back to the final part of Lake 41, the Northern Hemisphere loop we're doing. It's the final destination in Canada. We're just heading to the coast, as you will see in front of that. The place we're going to is pretty unpronounceable. Qikiqtarjuaq, I think. It's Charlie Yankee Victor Mike anyway, the airport. Traffic have told me what I've been expecting to send 20 minutes. That was around about 7-8 minutes ago. I was considering whether to try and do VFR from here on in, but I don't think there's going to be any benefit with the way the weather is as well anyway. I don't think there's going to be a lot of benefit down there. We may see as we go a little bit closer in, we're going to have to descend anyway. Let's see what happens. The weather has been quite nice up to now, if you haven't seen the rest of it. If you haven't seen part 2 of this flight, I was having a conversation with the tour guide through the outreach from Dublin. Quite a comical tour guide on this one. It's quite nice to get some comical answers from things. But she has been a little bit repetitive with her tour guide comments, but it's not really a lot to see or talk about, are there? Still look right icing wise, we're not getting any icing on the struts or the wings, it's only on the low normal control on the airfield control.
Well, seeing as we're surrounded by more nothingness than a philosopher's diary, the closest thing of note is Pangnirtung Airport. It was built so people could say, "Look, we've got an airport," and then never use it again. Apparently, the most exciting thing that's ever happened there is when a seagull landed and immediately regretted its life choices. Toby once tried to camp on the runway, thinking it was a long, gray beach. He woke up with a traffic cone for a pillow and a very stern lecture from a man in a fluorescent jacket.
I find that hard to believe that Toby would have done something like that.
Honestly, I find it hard to believe most of the things Toby's done. But then again, he's the only person I know who once tried to grill a sandwich on a radiator and called it innovation.
Sounds like the kind of thing you would have done. Are you not just blaming him for your innovation?
Honestly, if I was going to grill a sandwich on a radiator, I'd at least have the decency to call it performance art and charge people to watch, not blame poor Toby. He's got enough on his plate and most of it isn't even food.
So how much would you charge for that performance art?
I'd probably charge whatever loose change people had in their pockets, or maybe a half-eaten sandwich. I'm not fussy, really.
At least a half-eaten sandwich you could then put on Toby's plate for him.
Exactly. And knowing Toby, he'd probably try to trade it for a packet of crisps and end up with just the crumbs.
As long as it wasn't one of those disappointment packets of crisps, just for the fresh air.
Yeah, nothing worse than opening a packet of crisps and finding it's mostly air, unless you count Toby's attempt at making his own, which was just a potato and a hairdryer.
Surely there must have been some gravy involved in that somewhere, being from Dudley.
Oh, absolutely. If there's one thing people from Dudley know, it's how to drown absolutely anything in gravy, even disappointment.
And there's plenty of that there.
Yeah, there's more gravy than sense in Dudley. If you stand still too long, someone will probably pour gravy on you just out of habit.
Sounds like that comes from experience.
Oh, absolutely. I speak from a long and tragic history of disappointment, mostly involving snacks and occasionally Toby, but that's another story.
So what are your favourite snacks then? Not the disappointing, the good ones.
My favorite snacks are the ones that come in a packet, but actually have food inside, not just air and broken dreams. So basically anything that isn't a bag of crisps from a petrol station.
Centre, United 559, I'm ready for descent.
"559, when you're ready, descend altitude 13,000, altimeter 2965.
13,000, United 559.
559, contact Edmonton Center on 135.5.
135.5, 9559. Edmonton Centre United 559 with you through flight number 144 for flight number 130.
United 559, Edmonton Centre identified. Good afternoon, Qikiqtarjuaq, altimeter 2965.
2965.
United 559, Edmonton Centre, contact Edmonton, approach on 135.2.
135.2, United 559. Here we go, strange radio swapping. Just come from one to the other and back to the other one within a minute. Edmonton Centre United 559 with you through flight level 139 for flight number 130.
United 559, Edmonton approach identified. Good afternoon, Qikiqtarjuaq, altimeter 2965.
Well, since there's absolutely nothing but snow, ice, and the sort of landscape that makes you wonder if the world just ran out of ideas, the closest thing of note is Qikiqtarjuaq, which is a town so remote even Google Maps gets confused. It was originally called Broughton Island, probably because someone brought it there and then forgot to take it back. The airport is the main attraction, unless you count the time Toby tried to build an igloo there and ended up inventing the world's first convertible snow house.
Lights are on.
United 559, Edmonton approach, descend altitude 11,000.
Altitude 11,000, United 559.
Descend altitude 9,000.
9,000, United 559.
Descend altitude 9,000 feet.
Roger, United 559.
absolutely nothing but snow, ice, and the sort of landscape that makes you wonder if the world just ran out of ideas, the closest thing of note is Qikiqtarjuaq, which is a town so remote even Google Maps gets confused. It was originally called Broughton Island, probably because someone brought it there and then forgot to take it back.
559, descend altitude 7600, turn right heading 110 vectors for the RNAV runway 3 approach, altimeter 2965.
Descend altitude 76,000, turn right heading 110 vectors for RNAV 3 approach, altimeter 2965. 559. Edmonton approach, United 559, request cancellation of IFR for final part of flight, and I should go VFR to the final destination of Charlie Victor Mike.
.559, roger. Radar services terminated. Squawk VFR. Frequency change approved.
Roger. We've not got all that far to go, but we should do a little bit of sightseeing on this. It's not going to be an awful lot to see, I don't think, because it is quite snowy. We will stay underneath the clouds and see a little bit more. It's only about 40 miles away from the destination airport, so it shouldn't be too long doing this.
the middle of nowhere, and the only thing nearby is Qikiqtarjuaq, which sounds a bit like someone sneezing into a map. Let's talk about that. Qikiqtarjuaq is a town so remote, even the clouds get lost trying to find it. It used to be called Broughton Island, probably because someone brought it here, and then couldn't be bothered to take it back. The airport is the main attraction, unless you count the time Toby tried to build an igloo there and accidentally invented the world's first open-plan snow house.
Can you tell us anything about these glaciers we're flying over at the moment?
Glaciers are basically nature's way of putting ice in the world's drink, except instead of cooling things down, they just slowly bulldoze everything in their path, like Toby at an all-you-can-eat buffet, except colder and with fewer complaints to management.
Very much as if that should have been a glacial flow through there. So whether it was or not, I don't know. Now just got the estuary showing up in front of us. It's a bit very cold down there. Unfortunately, the water edges here are a bit sort of FSX kind of patterns, really. Shame. I'm sure they get round to at one point just before the next flight sim comes out. Gullies. may change my mind and turn back in a minute. Just have a look. Should be alright to get on that.
Flying over the middle of nowhere, and the only thing nearby is Qikiqtarjuaq, which sounds a bit like someone sneezing into a map. Let's talk about that. Qikiqtarjuaq is a town so remote, even Google Maps gets confused. It used to be called Broughton Island, probably because someone brought it here and then couldn't be bothered to take it back. The airport is the main attraction, unless you count the time Toby tried to build an igloo there and accidentally invented the world's first open-plan snow house.
Edmonton Control, good morning, TBM 585, Romeo Papa on the ground at Charlie Yankee Victor Mike with the weather. Looking to pick up our IFR clearance to Charlie Yankee Foxtrot Bravo.
I'll have your clearance in just a second. I'm working on that clearance. Stand by.
Released for departure. Initial climb 4,000. Departure on 132.55. Squawk 2422. Piper 2 Delta Charlie.
It's de-icing on my we're getting some conditions now. Gully here. Approach United 559. I'm 13 miles west of Charlie Yankee Victor Mike, ready for full stop landing.
United 559, Gander Center, Qikiqtarjuaq, altimeter 2968. Cleared for the RNAV Bravo runway 3 approach. Contact Qikiqtarjuaq traffic on 122.1 when ready.
Clear for the RNAV approach runway 3. Contact Qikiqtarjuaq traffic on 122.1 when ready. 559.
nothing but snow, ice, and the kind of landscape that looks like someone forgot to finish it, the closest thing of note is Qikiqtarjuaq. It used to be called Broughton Island, which is a bit like naming your dog Dog. Apparently, it was renamed because people got tired of explaining why an island in the Arctic had a name that sounded like a Victorian explorer's lost luggage. The airport here is the main attraction, which tells you everything you need to know about how exciting the place is. Once, my friend Toby tried to impress a local by making a snow angel on the runway and ended up getting chased by a very confused polar bear.
Qikiqtarjuaq traffic 9559 I'm 4 miles southwest, turning downwind leg for finals onto runway 3.
United 559, Qikiqtarjuaq Airport Radio, roger.
Right, prop flipping forward. Let's go to mid. Quite difficult to see this runway. there we go. Tom, lights are off. Seatbelt light is off. Qikiqtarjuaq traffic, United 559. I've now landed at Qikiqtarjuaq and am clear of the runway.
Roger, thank you.
Bumpers off. Shutting down. Right, folks, you can all get out. Bit cold and icy here, but